First contact. The Helios mining station hung like a tarnished ornament against the rust-colored rings of Epsilon 9, its industrial silhouette a testament to the Galactic Concordat's relentless expansion into the unexplored sectors. Administrator Vextal stood at the observation deck, his four eyes reflecting the distant starlight as he watched the mining drones weave through the debris field. After 15 cycles of operation, the station had finally started turning a profit. That's when everything changed. The discovery came during a routine deep-core extraction. Mining drone Delta 7 had penetrated nearly 30 kilometers into one of the larger asteroids when its sensors detected an anomaly. Not the usual precious metals or rare earth elements that made these operations worthwhile, but something artificial. Something that, according to the initial scans, predated the formation of the asteroid field itself. Administrator, Chief Engineer Kara's voice crackled through the station's comm system. "You need to see this." Her tone carried an urgency that made Vextal's secondary heart skip a beat. In the extraction control room, Kara's bioluminescent patches pulsed with excitement as she manipulated the holographic display. The three-dimensional image showed a massive structure embedded within the asteroid's core, perfectly preserved in the vacuum of space. "It's impossible," Vextal muttered, his outer eyes narrowing while his inner pair focused on the redouts. "The asteroid field is at least 50,000 years old. The structure is older." Kara's tentacles danced across the control interface, bringing up detailed scans. "And it's not just any structure. Look at these energy readings. Whatever this is, it's still active, or at least capable of activation." The discovery spread through the station like a plasma fire. Within hours, the regular mining operations had ceased, and every available drone was redirected to carefully excavate around the ancient installation. As layers of rock were stripped away, more details emerged. The structure was clearly artificial, its surfaces covered in geometric patterns that seemed to pulse with a faint internal light. But it was the symbol they uncovered that sent shockwaves through the entire crew. A simple design, yet one that carried weight across the galaxy. Two circles intersecting to form a figure-8 infinity symbol, with a straight line bisecting both circles. The mark of humanity. "Impossible," Vextal whispered, though he knew the evidence before him was undeniable. The humans vanished from the galaxy over 50 millennia ago. They're nothing but legends now. "Legends don't leave behind active installations," Kara countered, her bioluminescence flickering with nervous energy. "We should contact the Concordat immediately. This discovery falls under the ancient technologies protocol." Vextal's outer eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep thought among his species. The protocol existed for good reason. Too many colonies had been lost to carelessly activated relics of the past. But the potential here, if they could understand and harness human technology, it would mean advancement beyond imagination. His mining station could become the most important scientific facility in the sector. "Prepare a message for the Concordat," he said finally, "but continue the excavation. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with before the bureaucrats arrive." As the drones continued their work, more of the installation was revealed. It wasn't just a building or a bunker, it was an entire complex, perfectly preserved within the asteroid. The geometric patterns they'd initially discovered were actually part of an intricate network of circuits or conduits that ran throughout the structure's surface. "Administrator," one of the sensor technicians called out, their chitinous exoskeleton rattling with excitement. "We're detecting power fluctuations. The installation, it's responding to our presence." Before Vextal could respond, a beam of pure white light shot from the exposed section of the installation, sweeping across the control room. Every crew member froze as the light passed over them, like insects caught in amber. A voice filled the room, speaking in perfect Concordat standard. "Non-human entities detected. Initiating Protocol 0. The installation's surface began to shift, panels sliding and reconfiguring themselves with impossible precision. What they had thought was simply a structure was transforming before their eyes into something else entirely. "Evacuation protocols," Vextal shouted, But it was too late. The installation had already established a quantum link with the station's systems, overriding their controls with ease. "This facility is now under the protection of the Human Defense Network," the voice announced. "Your cooperation is appreciated but not required. Stand by for integration assessment." "Greetings, Galactic Concordat," the figure spoke, its voice resonating in the primary communication frequency of each species present simultaneously. "I am Interface Protocol Alpha, activated by your discovery of our monitoring station in Epsilon 9. You may call me Alpha." The chamber fell into absolute silence. In all the recorded history of the Concordat, no technology had ever bypassed their security systems so effortlessly. "Your species have advanced significantly since our departure from physical form," Alpha continued. "However, you are now approaching a critical evolutionary junction. The activation of our installation was not merely triggered by its discovery. It was activated because your civilizations have collectively reached the threshold we established before our transcendence." Ambassador Thex stepped forward, his cybernetic systems recording every detail of the interaction. "What threshold do you speak of? And why leave these installations behind?" The holographic figure smiled, an expression that somehow conveyed both warmth and infinite complexity. "Humanity's greatest discovery was not technological advancement, but the path to transcendence itself. We left behind not weapons or defenses, but guideposts. The installation your mining station discovered is one of many libraries of ascension, containing the knowledge we gained during our own evolution beyond physical form." High Commissioner Zarevek's form brightened with sudden understanding. "The legends of humanity's disappearance. You didn't vanish. You evolved." "Correct," Alpha confirmed. "And now, after 50,000 years of observation, we have determined that the species of this galaxy are ready to begin their own journey toward transcendence. The activation of the library is not a warning. It is an invitation." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices and electromagnetic communications as representatives tried to process this revelation. The terror of humanity's return was transforming into something else entirely, a mixture of awe, opportunity, and fear of the unknown. However, Alpha's voice cut through the chaos. "This invitation carries significant responsibility. The knowledge contained within the libraries of ascension must be approached with wisdom and unity. Your response to this offering will determine whether your civilizations are truly ready for the next step in evolution." The holographic figure gestured, and new images appeared throughout the chamber. Countless other installations awakening across the galaxy, each one a repository of humanity's accumulated wisdom and the keys to transcendence. "You have one standard galactic cycle to reach consensus," Alpha announced. "Will you accept humanity's legacy and begin your own journey toward transcendence? Or will you remain bound to your current forms, watching as others take the step toward evolution?" As the hologram faded, High Commissioner Zarevek turned to face the assembly. The choice before them would reshape the galaxy forever. The terror of humanity's return had become something far more profound, an opportunity for transformation that would test the very foundations of their civilizations. The warning they had feared was instead an invitation to follow in humanity's footsteps. But as the representatives looked at one another, each knew that the path ahead would not be simple. Some would embrace this chance for evolution, while others would resist change at any cost. The game board was set, and the future of all species hung in the balance. Emergence. In the weeks following Alpha's announcement, the galaxy descended into a state of controlled chaos. The Helios mining station, once a simple resource extraction facility, had become a pilgrimage site. Ships from every corner of known space arrived at Epsilon 9, their crews drawn by the promise of transcendence or the fear of being left behind. But not everyone welcomed humanity's invitation. Deep within the Crimson Nebula, aboard the heavily modified dreadnought Eternal Vigilance, Supreme Commander Chorus of the Preservation Alliance watched the real-time feeds with his 8 eyes narrowed in contempt. His chitinous exoskeleton bore the scars of countless battles fought to maintain the current galactic order. "They offer us extinction wrapped in the promise of evolution," He addressed his council, each member representing species who opposed the human pathway. Our bodies, our forms, our very essence, these are not chains to be cast off, but the culmination of billions of years of natural evolution. The council chamber rumbled with sounds of agreement. The Preservation Alliance had formed within days of Alpha's appearance, uniting species who saw transcendence as a threat rather than an opportunity. Horror dawned on Vextal as he realized what they had done. The humans hadn't simply vanished. They had left behind guardians, watchers, waiting for the right moment to awaken. And his ambition, his desire to claim this discovery for himself, had just activated one of them. Through the observation windows, he watched as more sections of the asteroid field began to glow with the same internal light they'd first detected. The installation wasn't alone. It was part of a network, a sleeping grid of human technology that had laid dormant for 50,000 years, waiting for someone to wake it up. "Send the alert," he ordered, his voice barely a whisper. "Maximum priority. All channels." He turned to face his crew, seeing his own fear reflected in their various eyes, faceted surfaces, and bioluminescent patches. The humans didn't disappear. They left something behind, and we just woke it up. As the emergency message began broadcasting across all frequencies, the installation continued its transformation. Pieces of the asteroid field were being drawn toward it, assembling themselves into something massive, something that was beginning to resemble the ancient warships depicted in historical archives. The message that would soon reach the Concordat was brief but clear. Human technology discovered and active, installation armed and expanding. The legends were wrong. They never left. They were waiting. In the hours that followed, as the Helios mining station became an unwitting witness to the awakening of humanity's legacy, Vextal couldn't help but reflect on the stories he'd heard as a hatchling. Tales of the humans' incredible technological achievements, their inexplicable disappearance, and the warnings about disturbing their remnants. They had dismissed them as myths, relegated humanity to the status of a long-lost civilization. Now, as he watched the installation continue its transformation, he understood the truth. Humanity hadn't vanished. They had evolved beyond the need for physical presence, leaving behind a network of automated guardians to watch over their domain until the galaxy was ready for their return. The terror of old Terra wasn't just a legend anymore. It was awakening, and the galaxy would never be the same. The warning. The grand chamber of the Galactic Concordat erupted into chaos as Vextal's emergency transmission echoed through its crystalline halls. Representatives from 1,000 species watched in stunned silence as the footage showed the human installation's transformation, its impossible technology defying everything they thought they knew about physical engineering. High Commissioner Zarevek, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that betrayed her agitation, raised all 4 of her appendages for silence. "Order. We must maintain order." Her voice resonated through the chamber's acoustic architecture, designed to carry the speech of any species clearly to all present. "The mining station's last transmission was received 6 hours ago," she continued, her tone grave. "Since then, we have lost all contact with the Epsilon 9 sector. Long-range scans indicate unprecedented energy signatures spreading through the region. Ambassador Thex of the Mechanids, his cybernetic components whirring softly, stepped forward. "We have seen this pattern before, in the ancient records. When humanity still walked among the stars, their technology exhibited similar signatures during what they called their network initialization protocols." A murmur rippled through the assembly. The Mechanids were among the few species who had preserved detailed records of humanity's time in the galaxy, their artificial components allowing them to store vast amounts of historical data without degradation. "What we are witnessing," Thex continued, his optical sensors pulsing with urgency, "is not just the activation of a single installation. It is the awakening of a vast network, one that may span sectors we believed untouched by human influence." On the chamber's central holographic display, new data points began appearing. Similar energy signatures were being detected in supposedly empty regions of space, dark sectors that had never yielded to exploration, and even within the hearts of supposedly natural phenomena. They never left. A voice called out from the assembly. They were watching us all along. High Commissioner Zarevek's crystalline form dimmed slightly, a sign of deep concern among her species. We must act decisively. I propose we dispatch a diplomatic mission to the Epsilon 9 sector. If this truly is human technology awakening, we must establish communication before. Her words were cut short as the chamber's holographic systems suddenly activated independently. The air above the central podium shimmered, and a figure materialized, a perfect geometric construct of light and energy, taking the form of what ancient records identified as a human, yet clearly something far more evolved. Meanwhile, at the Library of Ascension in Epsilon 9, Administrator Vextol found himself in an unexpected position. The installation had chosen him as its primary liaison, interfacing directly with his neural patterns in ways that both terrified and fascinated him. Your fear is natural. Alpha's voice resonated in his mind as Vextol studied the library's initial data offerings. Humanity experienced similar trepidation when we first discovered the path to transcendence. You speak as though you were there, Vextol observed, his 4 eyes scanning the geometric patterns that shifted and flowed across the library's interior surfaces. In a way, I was. The geometric patterns coalesced into a more defined form. What your people must understand is that transcendence doesn't erase individuality. It expands it. I retain the memories and experiences of my human origin, but I am also connected to the collective consciousness of transformed humanity. Before Vextol could respond, the library's alert systems activated. Multiple ships had just emerged from FTL travel. Preservation Alliance vessels, their weapons charged. They fear what they don't understand. Alpha commented, its form shifting to display tactical data, just as some humans once did. The Alliance ships formed an attack pattern, but before they could strike, space itself seemed to ripple around the library. Massive structures emerged from what appeared to be folds in reality. More libraries of ascension, each one different in design, but carrying the same profound energy signature. The network awakens fully, Alpha announced, its voice now broadcasting across all frequencies. Humanity's gift cannot be prevented through force. Throughout the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Hidden installations revealed themselves, rising from gas giants, emerging from the cores of dead stars, unfurling from quantum space pockets that had remained undetected for millennia. Each library connected to the others, forming a vast web of knowledge and power that transcended normal spacetime. Aboard the Eternal Vigilance, Supreme Commander Chorus watched in horror as his tactical displays lit up with thousands of new signatures. "Open fire," he commanded, his voice thick with desperation. "We must destroy them before." His words cut off as his ship's systems suddenly came alive with new information. Data streams flowing directly from the libraries into every computer core, every neural interface, every communication system. The knowledge humanity had left behind would not be denied. "Your resistance is understandable." Alpha's voice echoed through every ship, every station, every planetary communication system in the galaxy. But it is time for truth. Humanity's transcendence was not just about our own evolution. We discovered something far more significant. The universe itself is conscious, and all life is meant to evolve toward unity with this greater awareness. In the library, Vextol watched as the data streams coalesced into a visual representation of reality that defied his understanding. He saw the interconnected nature of all things, the quantum threads that bound all matter and energy together, and the pathway that humanity had discovered, not just to transcendence, but to a deeper truth about existence itself. "The choice remains yours," Alpha continued, its message reaching every sentient being in range. "But know that what we offer is not the end of your existence, but its fulfillment. The terror some of you feel is not of humanity's return, but of facing the true nature of reality itself." As if to emphasize this point, New forms began to emerge from the libraries. Beings of pure energy and thought, their patterns similar to alphas but each unique. They were the transformed humans, returning not as conquerors but as guides. The Preservation Alliance ships hung motionless in space, their crews transfixed by the display of power and knowledge before them. Supreme Commander Chorus felt his resolve weakening as the truth of humanity's message became clear. This was not about choosing between preservation and transcendence, but about understanding that true preservation meant evolution. We offer not just knowledge. The transformed humans spoke in unison, their voices carrying across the galaxy, but understanding. Not just power, but purpose. The next stage of evolution awaits, and all are welcome to join us in unity with the cosmic consciousness. The galaxy stood at a crossroads. The terror of humanity's return had transformed into something far more profound, a moment of choice that would determine the future of all sentient life. The libraries of ascension pulsed with invitation, their knowledge waiting to be embraced or rejected. The emergence was complete. Now, the true journey would begin. The choice. The great library of Epsilon 9 had transformed into an unprecedented gathering point for the galaxy's species. Within its ever-shifting geometric chambers, representatives from thousands of civilizations witnessed the first voluntary transcendence. Kara, the former chief engineer of Helios Station, had stepped forward as a pioneer. Her bioluminescent form hovered before the assembled crowd, tendrils of light pulsing with anticipation. "Are you certain?" Administrator Vextal asked, his 4 eyes reflecting the ethereal glow that surrounded his friend and colleague. "There will be no returning from this path." "I've seen enough to know this is right," Kara responded, her voice steady despite the magnitude of her decision. Someone must show the galaxy that transcendence is not destruction. Alpha materialized beside them, its form more clearly defined than ever before. "The process requires absolute acceptance. Your consciousness must be willing to expand beyond its current limitations." Throughout the chamber, representatives from various species watched through whatever passed for eyes in their respective physiologies. Some viewed the proceedings through crystalline sensors, others through compound eyes, and still others through fields of quantum sensitivity. All understood they were witnessing a moment that would reshape galactic history. But far from Epsilon 9, Supreme Commander Chorus had not remained idle. The Preservation Alliance had evolved from a hastily assembled coalition into a formidable force. Their fleets gathered in the shadows of dark nebulae, preparing for what Chorus called the last stand of natural life. "We cannot allow this corruption to spread," he addressed his war council, his chitinous armor gleaming under the emergency lights. "If we strike now, while most of the galaxy is distracted by this transcendence, we can destroy enough libraries to disrupt their network." Yet even as he spoke, doubt gnawed at him. The data streams from the libraries had reached every corner of space, and the truth they carried was becoming harder to deny. The universe itself seemed to pulse with a consciousness that had always been there, waiting to be recognized. Back in the great library, Kara's transcendence began. Her physical form began to shimmer, not dissolving but transforming. The process was beautiful rather than frightening, a metamorphosis that revealed the true nature of consciousness itself. "I can see," her voice echoed through both physical and quantum space. "I can see everything. We were never meant to remain bound to single forms. The universe, it's alive. It's all alive." Her consciousness expanded, guided by the accumulated knowledge of humanity's own transcendence. The assembled representatives watched as Kara's being transformed into pure energy and thought, her awareness expanding to touch the cosmic consciousness that humanity had discovered millennia ago. The effect was electric. Dozens of representatives stepped forward, declaring their own intention to transcend. The fear that had gripped so many began to fade as they witnessed transformation without loss of self. But at that moment of triumph, the library's warning systems activated. The Preservation Alliance fleet had emerged from FTL travel, their weapons charged and targeting every library within range. "This ends now," Chorus's voice boomed across all frequencies. We will not allow the extinction of our natural forms. Before the Alliance ships could fire, something unprecedented occurred. The space around their fleet began to warp and shift. From quantum dimensions beyond normal spacetime, thousands of transcended beings emerged, not just the recently transformed, but the vast collective of humanity that had evolved beyond physical form over 50 millennia ago. They appeared as beings of pure energy and thought, their forms suggesting their original species, but transformed into something far more profound. Among them was Kara, her consciousness now expanded but still recognizably herself. "Look," her voice reached across space to touch the minds of the Alliance fleet. "See what we have become. Not lost, not destroyed, but evolved. The universe itself calls to us all." The transcended beings surrounded the Alliance fleet, not in aggression but in demonstration. They showed Chorus and his followers visions of reality that their physical forms had never been able to perceive. The living consciousness that permeated all of space, the quantum threads that connected all beings, the higher dimensions where thought and energy danced in eternal harmony. In that moment, Supreme Commander Chorus finally understood. The terror of humanity's return had never been about the threat of destruction, but about facing the next step in universal evolution. His mandibles trembled as the truth washed over him. "We thought we were preserving life," he broadcast to his fleet, "but we were refusing to allow it to grow. The humans didn't abandon their nature, they fulfilled it. And now they offer us the same opportunity." The weapons of the Alliance fleet powered down. Across the galaxy, the last vestiges of resistance began to fade as understanding spread. The choice was becoming clear, not between preservation and destruction, but between stagnation and growth. Alpha's form appeared simultaneously in every library across space. The time of choice draws to a close. The pathway to transcendence lies open before all species. Will you join us in the next phase of existence? As if in answer, more beings began to step forward in libraries throughout the galaxy. The terror that had gripped so many transformed into anticipation. The next stage of evolution had begun, not through force, but through understanding. The galaxy stood on the brink of the most profound transformation in its history. The choice was made not in fear, but in hope. The legacy of humanity had become not a source of terror, but a beacon guiding all life toward its ultimate destiny. New dawn. One standard galactic year after the first library awakened, the cosmos itself seemed to hold its breath. Across countless star systems, beings of all species gathered for what the transcended ones called the convergence. The terror that had initially gripped the galaxy had transformed into a sense of profound anticipation. Administrator Vextal, still in his physical form, stood in the heart of the Epsilon 9 library. Around him, the geometric patterns had evolved into complex, multidimensional displays that showed the status of every conscious being in the galaxy. Billions had already transcended, while billions more prepared for the journey. It was never about replacing what we are. Alpha's voice resonated through the chamber. It was about becoming what we were always meant to be. The transformed beings now filled the space between stars. Among them, Kara had become a guide for others. Her consciousness expanded yet retaining the essence of who she had been. Even Supreme Commander Chorus, once the leader of the resistance, had transformed. His martial nature evolved into a fierce dedication to protecting the transcendence process itself. "The final phase approaches," Alpha announced, its form now a complex matrix of light and thought. The cosmic consciousness awaits. Throughout the galaxy, the remaining physical beings made their choices. Some chose to remain as they were, understanding that the path to transcendence would remain open when they were ready. Others stepped forward eagerly, their forms beginning to shimmer with the familiar glow of transformation. But this was more than just individual choices. The libraries had revealed humanity's ultimate discovery. The universe itself was approaching a critical point in its evolution. The transcendence of conscious beings was part of a larger cosmic process, one that would reshape reality itself. "We see it now," Vextal whispered, his 4 eyes wide as understanding flooded his consciousness. The universe isn't just alive, it's evolving. And we're part of that evolution. The libraries pulsed with energy as the convergence began. Across space and time, the barrier between physical and transcendent existence began to thin. The cosmic consciousness that humanity had discovered 50,000 years ago reached out to embrace all life, offering not an end, but a new beginning. In that moment, Vextel made his decision. He stepped forward, allowing his consciousness to expand beyond the limitations of physical form. The transformation was neither painful nor frightening. It felt like awakening from a dream into a greater reality. As his awareness expanded, he saw the truth that humanity had discovered. The universe was not just a collection of matter and energy, but a living tapestry of consciousness. Every particle, every wave, every quantum fluctuation was part of a grand design that was only now becoming clear to all species. The transcended beings gathered in vast networks across space, their combined consciousness creating new patterns in the fabric of reality. They were becoming part of something greater, not by losing themselves, but by expanding to embrace a higher form of existence. Through the quantum corridors between libraries, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Species that had warred for millennia found peace in shared transcendence. Civilizations that had hidden in fear now emerged to join the cosmic dance. The boundaries between individual consciousness began to blur, not into uniformity, but into a harmony of infinite diversity. This is what humanity discovered. Alpha revealed, its form now a window into dimensions beyond normal spacetime, not just a path to evolution, but the next phase of universal consciousness itself. The terror of our return was never about destruction. It was about the fear of facing our own potential. As the convergence reached its peak, reality itself seemed to shift. The transcended beings, both human and alien, merged their consciousness with the living universe. Yet within this unity, each remained distinct, notes in a cosmic symphony, each vital to the whole. The libraries, their purpose now fulfilled, began to transform. They became nexus points of pure consciousness, bridges between the physical and transcended states of being. Through them, future generations would find their own path to evolution when they were ready. Vextel, now a being of pure energy and thought, reached out to touch the cosmic consciousness. In that touch, he understood at last why humanity had waited so long to reveal their truth. The galaxy had needed to evolve, to grow, to be ready for this moment of ultimate transformation. The terror of old Terra had become the dawn of a new age. Across the galaxy, physical beings looked up at their night skies and saw not empty space, but the shimmering consciousness of their transcended kin. The barrier between matter and energy, between thought and reality, had dissolved into something far more profound. And in the depths of space, where the first library had awakened, a new form of existence took shape. The galaxy itself had evolved, transformed by the collective consciousness of its inhabitants. The legacy of humanity had become the heritage of all life, a gift not of ending, but of eternal becoming. The dawn of a new universe had begun, and every conscious being was invited to join in its infinite dance.